Hey guys, this is the recap of the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip, and we're in Thailand. So, this episode is called We're in Thailand, Bees, and we open up with Portia, and Portia is acting like it's been a while. It's been a while since she had done anything like this. She is so dramatic. Portia, come on. You know where the position, where to look, where to, how to do the whole situation. Come on. So Portia is ready to bring it on the girls' trip because she is coming to this show giving the perspective of a viewer. She says she is one of us. She is for the people. The people are for Portia. So we're ready. So there are scenes that are going on with the girls getting ready for their trip. And we see Whitney and Heather packing up their designers and their big labels because they know what time it is. They know it's going to be a fashion show. And, we know that, Utah doesn't really bring the fashions. So, they need a little head start to get their stuff together. At least get the pieces together. Get the, the labels all together and everything. So we're going to see what Utah is going to offer. We have the cousins coming, Whitney and Heather. So we're going to see how they're going to, be around these new group of girls. These two are definitely going to bring the cousin drama. And, they're going to be stuck in a completely whole other country. There's no going home saying, I can't be in the same room with this girl. Y'all stuck in the same country, okay? The flight is way too long. You can't just pack it up and leave like that. Now we see Leah and she's packing her clothes back in NY. And she is having a good time with her mother. Her mother is giving her the business. She's trying to guess how much it costs for this croc that she got on. It's a Balenciaga and croc collab. And her mom said that's nothing but like $50 that you got on right now. And it really goes to show you what perspective is for the individual, because that Balenciaga croc shoe goes for a couple of thousands. So yeah, your mother says that it should have been for $50. It should have been for $50. It should have been for $50. Highest end, she was guessing $100. I thought that was so hilarious, so cute. We then get our Potomac girlies. And, they're getting excited for this girls' trip. They're FaceTiming each other. And it's Candace and Giselle, y'all. I thought this was a little bit awkward for us as viewers. As we know, these girls do not like each other. But, of course, they're faking the funk. Giselle's acting like they're besties, and Candace is playing along for the show. And, I just feel like they just gotta be real. They're still hot off the situation with Chris and Giselle saying they had an uncomfortable moment. But I'd rather Karen and Ashley came. Anybody else but Giselle and Candace trying to pretend they're friends. So our Miami girlies are FaceTiming each other. We have Bro Marisol and Bro Alexia, and they feel like they should have the best room because they feel like they have been housewives longer than anyone else based on the time they started. Remember, Miami started a while back, but it had a long hiatus. So I guess they're counting the hiatus as their time frame of being housewives. But I think the hiatus was longer than how long they've been housewives for. Like, girls, please stop. So some of these girls have met each other, and others only know each other from following online media and online news. So this is going to be a whole experience. So Heather and Whitney are coming on this trip following the news of Jen Shah pleading guilty. Yeah, this was filmed quite some time ago, and we're now getting it. I feel like the information so far is kind of dated. Like, we're acting like, oh my god, this just happened yesterday. But for them, it just happened, it just happened to them now. So we are seeing them in that moment. So it's a bit awkward because Heather was, the ride or die for Jen Shah and going against Whitney, So, because Whitney was not believing anything Jen Shaw was selling. Whitney was the one that was like trying to start with Jen Shaw, trying to get all the information to call her out. And, Heather was following her friend over her cousin. So, this is about to be interesting to see what happens post findings of Jen Shaw pleading guilty. So the girls, they fly out and they arrive to Phuket. Phuket time. So Whitney, she arrives technically first, but is pretty much lost out to where to enter the villa. So she ends up virtually pretty much last. So Giselle, she arrives to the villa first. She actually enters the villa and she meets Patsy, who will be keeping these girls organized on this trip. Okay, I love how they get the staff involved with these girls' trip moments. I love it. That's a new trend. I love it. So I love how they got Patsy involved, that he even have his own confessional moments. I'm like, not Pepsi getting into the mix of the drama. Not Pepsi. So Alexia, she arrives next and she knows Giselle. So Giselle's a familiar face. So what Alexia is looking to do is to bring the Miami party vibe to this girl trip situation. Okay. So Giselle, she's looking forward to getting to know the Utah cousins, but she knows all the other girls pretty much. Surprisingly, she said she loved Candace, and I'm like, girl, bye. Stop with the shenanigans. And look who comes in next. Candy Pants arrives next. And Whitney makes it out of breath to meet all the girls. And she is just fangirling. So, of course, immediately, Giselle, she wants to talk about the Jen Shaw situation. But what she wants to do is that she feels like it would be best if the girls wait for Heather to get here so she could really get into the tea. So Portia, Leah, and Marisol, they're arriving together on a small little bus to the villa. Portia, she's a fan of everyone. Portia, she's here for the moment. She's not here to be the star, but she's here to be the moment, okay, as a viewer in this situation. And Portia, her plan is to bring the peace. So peace be with Portia as Portia is with peace. We getting Martin Luther King Portia. We getting chill Portia. Portia is just wants to be a vibe, okay? She's not here with the drama. She don't got Kenya to flame her. So if Kenya was on this trip, Kenya would have flamed her and it would be no peace. Or if Candy was on this trip, Candy will hold Portia accountable. But luckily for Portia, these girls, maybe Giselle will try to poke at it. But, Giselle's a little bit new compared to Portia being a long-serving housewife for the franchise. Okay? So Heather comes in next and she hugs her cousin. They all cute, their family, they're hugging each other. And Heather is everyone's biggest fan, okay? She is fangirling. She is so funny though. She is like, I'm going to bring the fashion down in this group. I'm like, child, don't even worry. Giselle is on this girl's trip, okay? So you have nothing to worry about. So Giselle, she has a million questions ready to go. She wants to get down to this Jen Shaw situation. So pretty much what we learn is that Jen Shaw told Heather that she was innocent for a year when she swore on her family and pretty much everything she loved. And Heather, she believed that. For her to not know what has changed. So, interesting enough, Alexia says, you know what it is. Like, when someone finds out they're getting 30 years, if you're going to be facing 30 years in prison, in a second, you're going to plead guilty to 14. That's a no-brainer. So, last minute, Jen Shaw, she tells Heather that she's going to plead guilty so that Heather doesn't feel blindsided. So she feel like she kind of softened the blow for Heather so she doesn't feel like her friend didn't just leave her in the dark. Now, Whitney views Jen Shaw as a master manipulator, as I believe so too, because you don't really know what you're getting from Jen and what's real, what's not, you know. I feel like she did put on a show. She wasn't genuine, but she made that franchise pop a little bit while it could, because without Jen Shaw, that franchise is a little bit boring. I honestly don't follow up or keep up with too much of Utah. All I know is that I miss Miss Mary on this show, so hopefully they get Miss Mary back, so at least something could go down. Okay, so you know, Whitney, because she views Jen as a master manipulator, everyone is now looking at Heather to wonder, like, how she feels about her friend. She was friends with Jen before the show, Heather, and she still supports her after. And the girls are shocked about this because it's like, why? What's the point? But Whitney got zero questions about the whole situation. But of course, Heather expected it. I feel like we're going to get a dynamic where these cousins at first, they're going to be cool with each other, but they're going to slide into, their cliques, to who they're really going to side for, So Portia, Leah, and Marisol, they make it to the villa, and the girls are all happy to see each other. So Leah and Heather talk a little bit, okay? And Leah feels like Heather has been manipulated by a narcissist. And Heather, she's fangirling, she's having fun. She even says like she had the most fun and the best sex with a narcissist, so that doesn't bother her at all. Heather just wants to have a good time. I can see why Rihanna liked her, okay? So the girls, they get a tour, and Pepsi shows the girls the spirit house. The girls could tell the spirit house anything they want from this girls group trip. Okay, so Portia, she starts it off, and she wants sisterhood and good food. Candace wants to keep her edges. Giselle, she wants to have fun, but also have a little nitty gritty drama here and there. Marisol, she calls on the power of Mary J. Blige for no more drama. Whitney, she is praying for the families at home and to pretty much protect the girls from drama. And she looks at Giselle because, that girl is smart. Giselle is the starter of all this situation. So even though she's been a housewife for only 2 seasons, Whitney, she's on very quickly, which I wish Candace was, because I feel like Candace, she's leaving herself open and vulnerable for Giselle to pretty much have her way with her, So bro Alexia, bro Marisol, they start speaking Spanish, and pretty much, Giselle, she looks at them and she's like, oh, they must be talking about her. And I love the edits that the producers do for the translation to steer the pot. I hope that's a continuing theme throughout this whole season, so that's a good thing, a fun thing to look out for. So Giselle, she wants the ladies to speak English in a group setting, okay? Giselle is the host in charge. She requires everyone to speak English, and that kind of bothers Marisol and Alexia a little bit, because they actually were not talking about Giselle. It just felt like for Giselle in that moment. So the most favorite part of any girls trip is going to see the rooms. So Pepsi showed the girls the rooms before lunch, and the rooms are actually assigned, which is so smart of Pepsi, but we don't get any drama, and we all live for the drama. So all the girls' room are stunning, sickening, and slaying, but Leah's room. Leah and Candace's room is connected, but Leah's room is like a little closet. So I was like, ooh, I would want to be in that room. And, Leah, she feels like Pepsi doesn't like her because she didn't know why she got that room. But Pepsi, he is so sweet, and he is so perfectly able to deflect the whole situation. And then after Leah leaves, he goes talk to the wait staff, and he's agreeing, saying that, oh yeah, she got the worst room. And the work staff is like, yeah, really? He's like, yeah. And he's like calling out that section room that, yeah, that's the worst room. I'm like, damn, that is hilarious. So Leah says that she is visiting Candace's room to balance out the whole situation so she could get a little bit of view and not just be in a little box, okay? So Portia and Giselle have a kiki, and they know each other and they have done the chat room together. Giselle, she asked Portia what's her thoughts of the girls so far, and Portia feels like everyone seems cool and that Candace is fun, but she doesn't get why everyone online thinks that they would fight and that they will not get along. I thought that was interesting too, but we will get into it. It's close to popping off in this episode. We then jump scene to a kiki with Leah, Whitney, and Candace. And Candace asked the girls what they think of everyone so far. And Candace, she actually brought up the issue with the cousins and how they're getting along even though they were beefing. Or she heard that they were beefing. And Whitney says that, her and her cousin is fine. Her and Heather are fine. They just are really good at sweeping things under the rug. But she does give a little bit about, tells a little bit about what the fight is about, that the fight is about Jen and how the situation is mostly about loyalty. And she feels like her cousin doesn't give her loyalty. She doesn't stand by her as opposed to standing by Jen. Leah asked Candace, how's things going with Giselle? And I'm like, that's a good question because they're acting all goody with each other. And Candace says that they're good, but she tells the girls not to trust Giselle, just to laugh at her, just laugh with her, hang out with her, but don't tell her your business because she will end up telling the newspapers. And she's right. I would not trust Giselle with a secret about my pet that I don't even have, okay? I would never. We then jump scene to Portia and Giselle Kiki, and they talk about Jen Shaw lying to Heather, and while Heather has been parading support for Jen. But she knows that Jen pleads, knowing that, Jen pled guilty and she's still supporting her friend. The girls wonder, why is she okay with that? Giselle feels like, she wouldn't be cool with Jen because she lied and she would have turned her in. But Portia says she had no choice to lie. And Giselle was like, no, I would rather to know the truth as a friend and keep it as a secret. But Portia, she sees right through the green-eyed bandit, okay? She knows Giselle cannot hold a secret to save anybody's life, okay? She cannot. So back to Candace, Leah, and Whitney. Candace says that Giselle will do anything for ratings, and I believe so too. I feel like if she's gonna keep her spot, to keep her check, to keep on doing what she does, she's gonna do what it takes, and that's why she's good with her. So this is kind of similar to Marge and Teresa's situation over in the Housewives of New Jersey. I feel like, with a certain housewife, you kind of know the strategy, how you gotta play it, and you gotta play it smart, okay? So the girls are at the living room waiting for lunch, and Portia, Heather, and Giselle are having a little chit chat. So Heather is like, let's get Leah drunk. But Giselle and Portia looked at her so confused. Portia, she is like, Leah doesn't even drink. But Heather is like, that's the whole point. And Giselle's like, that is rude. And I felt like Portia and Giselle got this one right. I mean, why would you even bother? So the girls tell how great their rooms are, but Giselle, of course, got to ask Leah, if you drink this week, is it that a big deal? Which is a good question to ask your friend who's with you in a girls trip onto why she's not drinking. Is she pregnant? What's going on? What's the conversation going to be? So Leah says that if she was to drink, it would ruin her life, which is a big thing to drop on these ladies. And Giselle, she throws Heather under the bus and rats her out. So Leah, she opens up to the girls being a drug addict and alcoholic in the past. And I'm telling you, the girls are gagged. Portia really can show her emotions. She's like, her mouth is like jaw dropped. Like, she's like, who said that? Surprisingly enough, Heather said that she actually read Leah's book. And the girls even look at Heather more confused. They're like, that makes no sense to want Leah to drink. And Leah doesn't find that funny at all because she said her life would be ruined. And who's going to play about their life being ruined? Like, that's not something light to say. So Heather is witnessing firsthand of Giselle turning the whole situation on her. But damn, Heather, you really played yourself with that. Like, why would you even? So lunch is buffet style and the food was looking good. So the girls got to help themselves because A, Marisol doesn't plan to eat, and B, she's not feeling well and they are late. Okay, so who's going to wait for buffet style? Serve yourself up. So the girls, they talk about the odd situation with Heather to Candace and Whitney. And Whitney said that it's her toddler behavior. It's just her making a joke and not taking things seriously. And finally, the Miami girls, they make it to the lunch. And all the girls are here. And Giselle, she wants to, start the conversation and focus now on Portia. And Portia feels like, oh, you're not going to set me up. But no. Giselle, she wants to know how Portia branded herself to be a successful housewife and talk about pretty much her brand. And Heather says, like, yeah, she has 7 million followers. And I'm like, Heather, stop fangirling. This girl is a fan. This girlie is a fan. And so the things I didn't know that I got to know about Portia is that she got Instagram the year she started. And at one point after her divorce in the second season, she had more followers than Money in the Bank, which is crazy to even think about, especially because, these ladies, they like to live a lifestyle. So to showcase a lifestyle knowing that you don't have much in the bank, wow, many things have changed since then. Because now she has been focusing on her brand and standing on her own away from Housewives. But what she will never do is talk down about Housewives. And the girls agree with her on this as the show offered them so much opportunities, opportunities they didn't have access to before, which is amazing. So the girls asked Leah if New York is coming back. And, Leah, she didn't have much to say about it. And, no one touches the elephant in that room, pretty much talking about the racism that was felt in filming NY. I know that, Candace may be tired of having to talk about racism. And Giselle, she wouldn't talk. I don't think she would go for that topic or touch that topic. So Giselle then asked Heather and about the situation with Whitney. Heather explains her side, saying that, Whitney is trying to make a moment for the purpose of the show. And I'm like, that sounds like what would Giselle do, okay? And, the other girls, they took Heather's side, Alexia, she took her side. Portia took her side. Giselle wants, since it wasn't going Giselle's way, of course, Giselle wants to table the conversation. And it's because pretty much she's bored and she wants to move on from talking about this, even though she was the one who started this whole conversation. So look at Giselle, once again, producing a scene. Okay? So now the girls got to go and get ready for the jungle for dinner. Even though they just had lunch, I'm like, damn, they're eating every 3 hours, I believe, which is good. I don't mind it. I know in dinners things go down in dinner, so this is nothing bad. So the girls get ready to go to the jungle for the dinner, and I felt like Portia booty just needed its own moment. Can we take a moment of silence for Portia's booty in the scene? Okay, thanks. So everyone is decompressing, and Pepsi goes to his confessionals and he has his moment and he's letting the girls have it, okay? He says what he thinks about the ladies. He thinks Whitney is beautiful, that Giselle is funny and is always peps. Portia is like, wow. And I think that's the booty moment because her booty gives wow. Then something I couldn't even catch it, but I even tried to put it on subtitles, but I couldn't catch it. He says that Heather is a princess and that everything must be perfect. Alexia, he says that she's never standing, but I think he meant means Marisol, because Marisol, when she came on this trip, she was actually quite sick. So maybe he meant Marisol. So he says that she is calm but has a secret, but of course he will get to the bottom of it. So we're gonna have Pepsi producing a scene. He's learning from Giselle, which is gonna be hilarious. And he thinks Marisol is beautiful, but also another princess, which is true facts. And that Candace is a superstar. So I love Pepsi and his confessional moments. I want him to do a dress-up confessional moment, though. I would love to see that. So the girls are all ready, but Candace, okay? So Giselle, she texts her to say that the girls are leaving. And Portia's like, are you really leaving your friend? Like, they come from the same franchise. You really leaving your friend? And she's like, no, Candace is normally late. So we'll send a text. We'll send her an Uber. And she could come and follow us after. So the girls, they gossip in the car. So they split up into their groups. We have Alexia, Marisol, and Heather. And in their car, Alexia is like, Giselle asks a lot of questions and puts Heather on the stand. And I'm like, Alexia, she catches on very quickly and she's observing the whole situation. I'm wondering if we're going to get a situation with Alexia and Giselle. But man, they did know each other before coming on this girls trip. So, you know, it's different when you go on a girls trip with a group of girls. You may not come back as friends. In the other car, we have Leah, Whitney, Giselle, and Portia. So Leah, she talks about how Heather said she wanted to be there for support when she first came onto the trip. And then she's the same one who is trying to get her drunk. Like, how does that even make sense? So Whitney, she explains for her cousin and says that her cousin, Heather, her goal is to get close to people to get followers. When Whitney said that, I'm like, wow, that's crazy that your cousin will speak so poorly about you. And she's like warning the girl, saying she wonders if she will forget the things that she said to her on this trip. So Candace makes it to dinner, except her shoes. Her shoes get stuck in the wood paneling. The Miami girls, they thought Candace was in the other car actually and was wondering where was Candace. They were shocked that they left Candace behind, which I agree. We like in a whole different country and you just leave Candace by herself. Like I would not have liked that. So at the dinner, Alexia and Marisol are speaking in Spanish to one another, and Giselle, she puts a stop to it. She's like, no. And she says, oh, she doesn't want to feel left out. But honestly, I feel like she thinks that they're talking bad about her. But Alexia said that they will speak in English to tell her something that she wants to say to her in English, so there will be no confusion. But, finally, it's game time for our host Giselle, and it's first impressions game, best and worst. So I'm just thinking the messiness, and this is only day 1, okay? So Giselle, she leads and she starts off with the game, and she says her best is Leah. She likes her directness and her checking Heather. The worst is Heather because Heather was not direct with Leah. So Leah, she had a whole tape roll of what Heather said. And Heather says she don't remember that. And I'm like, damn. And she throws Whitney under the bus too, saying that she would forget. So Heather immediately apologized. And Portia calls Heather a fan and feels like, she met Leah and she was just being messy. She didn't know how to act accordingly in front of Leah. So Heather is being too much of a fan and she needs to chill. And Heather takes that. Heather is okay with being called a fan. So the girls hug it out and move on. Next is Leah, and Leah's obviously worst was Heather. And she moves on from that. But her best is Portia, and it's because Portia is not a B. She is not a B. And Portia's like, yeah, I'm not a B. And I'm like, Portia's just having a good time. This was like free vacation time for Portia. So Heather gets piled on by the rest of the housewives. And, Heather knows the game. So Candace piles on her being the worst. And also Portia piles on her being the worst. So when we get to Marisol, the best is Portia because Portia is fun. I feel like Portia's in her fun era. She's giving fun. But Marisol points out the worst being Giselle because of her commenting on her speaking Spanish. And Giselle explains why this was an issue for her. And it's because her twins, her daughters, they purposely speak in Spanish to talk about Giselle, and they leave her out purposely, even though she doesn't like that. But Giselle immediately apologized and understands that it's a part of their culture. So Alexia points out that Giselle, she asks a lot of questions, which is good because she feels like they don't do that enough in Miami. And I felt like, no, Alexia, don't even think that you guys got to do that. You guys continue what you guys got going on because y'all over there are a real sisterhood. Over there in Potomac, they want to play in our face and give us this fake season and act like they did something when they didn't. So don't even bother with that. No. But Alexia, she feels like, Giselle, she does this so she doesn't have to talk about herself. And I'm like, Alexia, that's the quickest thing you ever picked up. And she read that whole situation, and it's co-signed by Candace. Okay. And I thought that was so funny that Giselle feels like the girls can ask her questions, even though, Giselle doesn't really give much of her personal compared to the Miami girlies. So Alexia, nah. Giselle, we haven't even scratched the surface with Giselle. We just recently, get some new information here and there, but she is not one to put that on the table. So it's Whitney's turn, and she says her best is Candace. And she actually is pleasantly shocked and surprised because, her and Candace actually have a lot in common. Despite, Whitney liking her, at first she didn't think that she was going to like her. And she brought up the situation when Candace shamed Ashley Darby's appearance for being a mother when Candace is now going through her mom journey, okay? So she feels like, Candace feels like, Ashley weaponizes motherhood, and that is reverse mom shaming. So when Portia is hearing this, she wants to give her 2 cents, but Candace is not letting her viewpoint get across. And Portia, she's starting to get a little short with that. So she feels like Candace didn't know how her comments landed. But Candace is like, no, I know what I intended to do, and I intended to be mean. And then we get a whole preview of the girls going at it with each other. And I'm like, that only took one night. That took one night, and these girls haven't even rested to re-energize their energy, So we get that preview, and I'm like, buckle up. These girls are in Phuket, Thailand, and I am here for it, okay? So with this girls' trip, we already have 3 episodes dropped. And I only recapped the first one, y'all. So we in for a ride. So stay tuned. And if you enjoyed this recap, please like, share, and subscribe. Look, I'm looking forward to recapping the next episodes because these girls are already at it with each other. And they got to stay here for a week. Oh, my God. I'm even tired. Oh, Lord. But this is a good show to now follow up now after the Real Housewives of Miami. As of course I said to you guys the other day, they really served it, they killed it, and now I'm excited to see what this season of Girls Trip has to offer. I'm telling you, the Miami girls, they're not gonna let it be a situation where not everyone opens up. We all gonna have to share, and I'm happy. Okay, we have Alexia who's gonna share her personal. We're gonna have Marisol who's gonna support Alexia sharing her personal. We're gonna have the cousins that are going at each other. You know, Heather, she's like an open book. She's letting it all out there. If you want to hear it, she will say it, but she's not as crazy as Whitney, who would try to have a moment for the television show, okay? Now, with Candace and Giselle, I don't know what we're going to be getting from them, honestly. I wonder how open are they going to be given how Potomac ended, and this was before Potomac happened, you know? And then we have Portia. So who's going to start with Portia? Because I feel like everyone's fangirling Portia. And we can't just let Portia just have an easy vacation, can we? So guys, stay tuned. And I look forward to recapping the next episode of The Girls Trip coming up soon. So stay tuned. Take care. Bye-bye.